Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's VR Creator Club. This is a collaboration between Banter and the VR Creator Club, ran by Justin P. Barnett, where we talk about VR designers and programmers, anyone who's making VR applications. This is for everybody from people who are new to senior developers to come and collaborate and learn about VR together. So a couple months ago, I put on an event called the Virtual Odyssey Festival, and it was part of my master's degree from the University of Oregon, where I was looking into different ways that you use VR. The program that I was going through is for immersive media communications, which is different ways of looking at how XR can be used in different applications. So instead of just saying, I'm going to use XR as a game, you can think of it as saying, can you make a surgical application for it? Can you make a commercial application for it? And like we're using a social application for XR, and that's not necessarily a video game. So thinking about XR, VR in more than just a straightforward video game kind of way. So the reason I wanted to do this is because there are a lot of VR games out there that have been published, but I always felt that the way that you buy a VR game could be a lot better. There are two things that really hit me that made it hard. The first thing being the user interface for buying a VR game is very flat, but whenever you're experiencing a VR game, there's a lot more depth to it. It's 360, you're really inside of it. So I wanted to explore different ways of working with the UI UX, the game buying experience, and the other thing that I was really interested in was trying to figure out how to make it a multiplayer experience. Because whenever you and your friends try to buy a video game, let's say you're in your couch, in your living room, you can see the games together, you can get a good idea, you can talk on a call or something like that, and there are a lot of really good multiplayer experiences for buying video games in real life, mostly just being in the same room. And I wanted to somehow mimic that. So with that, I went forward, and I have two mice here, so I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. There we go. I'm going to try to run through this pretty quickly, so just kind of bear with me. One of the things I did at first was trying to figure out like what problems I was solving, and those two problems I was talking about, the immersion of the game buying experience and buying games with friends, were the areas that I wanted to do. And after that, I tried to figure out how I could solve this problem and what kind of platform I would solve this problem on. There are actually a few other immersive conference type experiences that I've seen that go from different platform to different platform, but I was trying to figure out which one would work the best. Some of the ones that came up, VR Chat, Horizon Worlds, and Banter, somehow got on my radar, and I'm not really sure how, but due to the proximity of SideQuest and Banter being able to work together so easily, I wanted to kind of pursue that. Additionally, Horizon World is a very kind of closed garden, so I didn't want to try to just work with building blocks and no web access. This is just kind of also going through some of the research that I did, and this is going to be a running theme throughout the presentation, is how many different hats that I had to wear to just pull this one event off. It was even though it was a larger event. And going into my decision-making process, when I looked at the user engagement on social media for the MetaQuest, like the Pico and SideQuest, all the different stores, I found a distinct jump in actual community engagement with SideQuest. There were a lot of followers and subscribers to Facebook or the Quest, but only in side quests over here you had Reddit and Discord users. You had a lot of them and a lot of activity. So it wasn't just people following it for news or updates. It was actually people discussing and talking to each other. So it was a real community to build on. I hope I don't look terrible doing this. Yeah, so then I kind of continued for the very first festival. What kind of people did I want to attend this festival? And I wanted independent VR developers and VR enthusiast early adopters, because this is something that you don't see out in the wild very much. You don't see very many VR game festivals in VR. I have seen more and more VR festivals popping up, but they're about things like movies or games or comic books, and I'm just very surprised that I haven't seen more of that. So on the very first one, I wanted to make sure that I had an audience that understood what I was doing and was able to kind of deal with the process that was included in that. So I didn't go for generic, what you would call developers, or no, sorry, gamers, because you'd get a lot of people who are younger who would be upset that things didn't work exactly like they wanted to them immediately, and people who didn't have a lot of patience for the process and wouldn't give you a lot of feedback. So by targeting these two audiences, I was able to get a lot more feedback, and a lot, even though I didn't have as many people attending, I feel that the quality of the participants was much higher. So the other one is why Banter, and that's because of my target audience. They have developers and a lot of people that actually kind of know what's going on in VR. The relationships to side quests, like I said earlier, and the web XR interaction gives you a lot of freedom and flexibility to do almost anything within reason. And even though it's still a newer platform, it's growing rapidly, and I feel like I'm kind of getting onto something before it's big, so you kind of build a strong foundation before you continue. See the plan. So design a functional VR game store, running UI, create social media accounts, help get the word out, work with game developers to feature their game booths, build a festival world, and hold a festival. Profit. Actually, there's no profit. There's no profit in any of this. But it's something that I really love doing and something that I really am passionate about. So whenever you're doing something like this, you want to have like a key performance indicators to know whether or not what you're doing is the right thing to do, or like once you're done, once you can look back on things, you're like, okay, how did my key performance indicators turn out? Did I do a good job? Did I do a bad job? And the ones that I chose to focus on, number of impressions and views online, number of developers and content creators that interacted with the event, number of attendees, and trying to see how many people went to my festival and then went and continued and actually bought the game. And then this is where I actually enjoyed more doing stuff like kind of the artistic side. I started to build a brand so that people would be able to see me in multiple platforms and say, okay, I know what that is. I've seen that before. So consistency was key. I started building a logo, and there were more iterations than this, but this is kind of like the quick rapid succession. I went with this logo, kind of went like a futuristic, I want to call it cyberpunk, corpo cyberpunk, where it's very corporate, but still kind of, you can still kind of have fun with it. Created a brand identity, because if you have that, like you maintain that standard across all platforms, people will know you, be able to come back to you as much as possible, and once they see you, you kind of become a trusted authority on subjects. So keeping with that, I also commissioned a mascot, and this was not done by AI. It was done by a person, because there are a lot of amazing artists out there, and I wanted to support them, and I thought that they could do a really good job. and I thought it turned out really great. Also, if anyone has any questions like throughout, just kind of come up and we can kind of communicate about it. It doesn't have to be just me like spewing as much information as possible at you as fast as possible. But right now, that's what I'm going to do. So I was able to start jumping into the UI. One of the first things that I did was I jumped into Gravity Sketch, which is another program, but it's just like 3D modeling, but in VR. And it was really great for like rapid iterations, trying to figure out exactly how you want things to look. And that's what this larger one over here is. And I was able to kind of figure out how I wanted everything to look. The one on the top left was my first one in Banter, trying to figure out how everything would work and if it would work. And then the bottom right is just like a colored version in Gravity Sketch. And then shout out to Flutter, who was running ShadowMend, and we actually met up at AWE, talked about collaborating, and we built, I used her assets to build the very first UI so that you can kind of get like an idea, and then I could actually get some feedback on how things were working out. Created these orbs, and this is what the final one looks like. You're able to click on the orbs, a 360 image comes down over you, and the music plays. Additionally, you can see right here and over here there's like a phone, and those are the actual game assets, so that whenever you're in there you can kind of get an idea of what the game is going to be like before you play it. So this is what I consider to be like the more immersive part of the experience. And it being on Banter, everything was multiplayer, so I fixed all my problems. Let's see. The other part that I thought was absolutely awesome and had a blast doing was working with game developers. I was able to get 5 separate games, 5 separate developers to come together and present these different games. And I think that anyone knows adding more people adds more complexity and adds more opportunity for failure. So the more people that you work with, the kind of harder it gets. The Dodge All was actually really great. I was able to get them in 1 hour before the actual launch of it, just because of like logistics. Long story short, they're on the other side of the world, and I'm in North America, so communicating was very difficult, but very rewarding. So working with all those developers was really complicated, but very rewarding. And then the other part was the amount of programs used to put the festival together. Banter was obviously one of them. Unity, Maya, Substance Painter, Photoshop, Notepad++, and there were a few other things that I'm sure that I used that I just wasn't able to mention. And then I also used some assets because I didn't want to do all of the 3D modeling myself, even though I did do some of it. So just like the level of complexity is incredibly interesting. And then what I was able to come out with was this map, this world here, which I learned a lot about, created a main section, and then out here on the wings were different game booths that were the UI before, and then I also included a lot of Banter specific worlds that people would find interesting. I included some of mine so I could see how many people were able to jump from the festival to my other worlds, because I used Google Analytics, because everything's a website on Banter, to see the spike in attendees during the festival and then see the spike of attendees in my other world. And I think it was like about 1 in 10 people jumped to another world, and it was pretty consistent. So that was kind of interesting. But yeah, central gathering location, game booths, and Banter worlds. And then I also created a map so that people could see it. It was in the main world, but was not big enough. Then I did some other stuff, 3D modeling the shelf that went in front of it. So it was the part that went into Substance Painter and Maya. So doing different store-bought assets paired with 3D modeling very specific assets for the game or for the event that were kind of like hero assets. I was only able to have a couple of events, one of which was the opening ceremony. We had a late night after party in the event, developer meet and greet, which was really great, and I did a Bobo VR headset giveaway to just really drive engagement. And I feel that for an event like this, having more community engagement and more events would really make this process thrive and bring a lot more people to the event. I was able to kind of get some sponsors. The first one I cannot pronounce because I'm a terrible person. Helorania, which is a friend of mine who has a video production company, and we were able to create a few different teaser trailers and put some professional grade videos together, which was really great. Banter helped and gave me feedback whenever, even though they did not provide a monetary value, they provided a support value. And then the VR Creator Club, Justin P. Barnett, was able to kind of help drive people to it and promote it. So that was really great. And then this is a lot of the people that went. This was the result of the Bobo VR giveaway. Had people put the hashtag VirtualFest 2024 and tag my account, and these are all the people that entered, and it was really great to see people interacting with the event while I wasn't there. Kind of gave me a feedback of people are having fun, people are doing things, and it was just really great to see that. So key performance indicators, how did it go? Like after I did everything, after I put all that hard work into it, how did it go? What happened? There were 9 people who posted on Instagram, and that to me is a win. That is actually pretty nice to see. Number of developers, there was 5. Number of attendees, 167, and that was actually a pretty good number for me. It was held over 9 days, and there were a lot of turnover, and there's a lot of visibility. And for other virtual festivals that I've seen, they've had a lower turnout with a lot more people working on it. So 167 is actually a very good number. And the part about seeing how many people went to the festival compared to how many people bought the games was actually unmeasurable, because most of the attendees were indie developers, and those indie developers are on the Quest store are not able to see how many people bought their game until they have more than 100 people buy their games. So most of them were not able to give me solid feedback on how many people, like what the conversion rate was, because they didn't know either. I did have a couple instances where people bought the game on the spot, so I know that it did drive like a little bit of sales. Just I'm not sure on a grander scale how much that is. And then lessons learned. I wanted to spend more time and attention on like the actual world, the level design that the event was going on. It was a little bit spread out, and one of the problems is I just kind of did all of it myself. And in the future, I'd love to collaborate with more people. If anyone's interested in helping me in the future, I'm looking for volunteers, not a paying gig because it doesn't make money yet. Maybe, I don't know. But if anyone wants to help me in the future, I will be open to that. The other thing is I use only 360 images, and having 360 videos seems like something that people would be very interested in doing. I just wasn't able to get to it in the the appropriate amount of time, but being able to have a 360 video of the game would probably make people much more immersed, and that is something that I would like to do in the next one. More activities is something that I talked about previously, just getting people more engaged and having more talks or more community engagement and events for the festival. Yeah, and overall just having more community engagement. One of the reasons that I did everything by myself was because it was my master's thesis. I was trying to get as much done on my own so that whenever I presented it, I could show them that these are all the things that I did, these are the things that I'm capable of. But that was actually a very large handicap in building a larger performant festival. So in conclusion, I would say that the VR Odyssey Festival had limited success, but it showed a ton of potential and a lot of really strong engagement. And I think that continuing having more iterations will really improve the festival experience and make VR festivals VR game festivals specifically, something that could be a staple in the VR community. The other thing is that it kind of highlighted to me the need for more VR developer to community feedback. One of the things that I saw that was like really great was people being able to go up to the booth and see the game in real time, and the developer was sitting right there, and they were able to hear the reaction from the game, and the people, without knowing it, were giving them real time user feedback, and it was completely honest and completely organic, and it wasn't like a forced situation. So a lot of the developers really enjoyed that, and I think that could be something that would really continue pushing the VR like immersive festival environment. Yeah, and I think that it brought at least a little bit of attention to smaller game developers. And the bulk, that's the sum of it. On the left, your right, I have a portal. We're not going there now, but a portal to the demo world. I need to fix a few things, but it can give you a kind of idea of what like the 3D orbs and the UI would look like. Here on Banter, the demo world is going to stay up indefinitely, just as an idea, but the actual festival world I took down and is not for public access anymore. On my right, your left, is actually Flutter's side quest page with a link where you can kind of check out her game. It just came out today on Flutter. If you want to come up here, I can let you talk. You gotta go. You gotta go around. Oh yeah, you can or not.
I'm in the ground though. Wait.
Yeah, you're good. You just gotta stand up.
I don't know why I'm standing up in real life. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm just going to talk about, my story game called Shadowment, which just released today, and it is a free demo. I wasn't sure if it was going to be free or not, or what I was going to do, but it's because it's one story it's the first story of many more short stories that I plan on having in a larger app. So I really want to get people's feedback to see if they like short stories that are about 20 minutes. And if they would like to be in a home library and then just pick what story they want to experience. So this is the first episode of that. And I'm excited. It was in the Virtual Odyssey Festival. And thank you, Arkin, so much for your support. Both for all of my work, whether it's my YouTube channel or even, this game. So really, thank you so much. And what I really did like about the Virtual Odyssey Festival was what you said about talking to developers. I'm not talking to developers, talking to people that are interested in playing my game. Well, yeah, and I liked hearing the other developers talk also. But yeah, having people like seeing you here, it was so cool to talk about my game in this immersive format. So it's so much better than just on social media, which is flat, and it's social media. It's like, but it was so nice to get that feedback where I really felt like I was at a festival. So there's not enough of that. I think this is like the only one I know of. Yeah. So it was really great to get that immediate feedback from people and get questions and and be in front of a professional looking booth. Yeah. I really think that this has a lot of potential. So that's all I wanted to say. So please play my game and leave me some feedback. And yeah, I really need the feedback so that I know what to do next for the next phase before I get to the next phase. Go ahead, Arkin. Yeah.
If people want to find you online, what's the best way of doing that?
Yeah. If they want to find me online, I am on YouTube at Flutter VR. That's easy to remember. Or you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. And so those are probably the two big places. My full name is Christine Ingolson. It's very long. But if you go to Flutter VR, you can find, links to the LinkedIn and the YouTube and all of that. And what else did I want to say about this? There was something in my mind. Anyway, I don't remember right now, but yeah, that would be fantastic if you could just give me feedback. Even if you want to private message me, leave a review. And that's another reason, I made it free is because I want to get as many people as possible to play it so I can get as much feedback before I get to the next phase, which will be paid.
Nice. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Does anyone?
Oh wait. Oh, does anyone have questions?
Yeah, I was gonna say, does anyone have any questions or like anything that they want to talk about with either my festival or her game?
Everyone's so quiet. Well, you could ask me too when I go down there. Yeah.
Yeah. Strange Beige is like doing dishes right now.
I almost jumped off the stage in the front, but then I thought that might be weird, so I'll go this way. No, I'll be proper.
I put a barrier.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna try it, but
so yeah, that's pretty much everything I have. If any of you guys want to check out the demo world, a lot of you who are here right now have actually went to the festival, and I appreciate all of you who were able to attend. And those who are watching later on, feel free to go into the world menu on Banter and look up virtualfest.bant.ing and go check it out. So that's all I got.
Yay!
I've run out of content for you.
Good job. Oops, I'm pressing the wrong thing. Yay!
Oh, also, I'm going to be releasing a new world next meeting with lots of. I can kind of show it, but it's not ready. I put too much stuff in it, and the frame rate's a little low, so I'm doing some optimizing.
I understand. Oh, let me tell you. That's why I have that disclaimer right at the beginning. I'm trying not to get people not be mad. Some people say it works on 2 fine, but I think the frame rate's low on 2. But anyway, so I prefer people play it on 3. So I'm just warning. I just put that up there so people don't leave me bad reviews, but it might happen anyway. I'm ready for it.
I think with the release of the 3S,
right. That's what I'm thinking.
Officially move away from the Quest 2.
I'm hoping. It's starting to happen, but you never know. There's going to be someone that's upset with me. They'll find something else, That's what it's all about. So I'm ready.
Yeah. Welcome to the internet.
Someone's mad at you. I'm so nervous. Oh, but I'm excited. All right.
I'm finally figuring this stuff out. I'm pretty happy.
Yeah.
Jerk. And big. Okay.
Very nice.
Cool. So, now, if you guys just want to hang out and talk to each other or ask me questions on a one-on-one, then that's fine. I'm going to get off the stage and make it more of a kind of hangout.
Cool.
Until we got another 20 minutes before the event is officially over.
Gosh, that went fast.
Cool.
Yeah, that goes fast.